Central Region. Cape Coast. Cape Coast is the capital of Central Region in southern Ghana. The indigenes are mainly involved in fishing. Fante is the widely spoken language in Cape Coast and has a population of 169,894 people. Overlooking the Gulf of Guinea, Cape Coast Castle is a large whitewashed fort built by the Swedish in the 17th century. It was later used by the British as a holding prison for slaves. Inside, the Castle Museum has exhibits on pre-colonial local history, the slave trade, and traditional crafts. The older traditional names of the city are Oguaa and Kotokuraba, meaning River of Crabs or Village of Crabs. The heritage and historical fortitude were an undoubted fuel in Cape Coast. Most indigenes were engaged in fishing farming because of the clear coast and seas.
Cape Coast boasts of a lot of renowned schools as well as colonial history in terms of the castles and the forts that they have. The capital is very much noted for tourism as well as fish farming because of the closeness to the sea. Among the key challenges that hinder businesses in Cape Coast was the lack of materials and equipment, as well as the access to finance for businesses to scale up. So in terms of the businesses we interacted with, majority of them were popular businesses as well as the castles and some schools.
Due to the proximity to the coastal line, women are engaged in fishmongering and other economical activities related to fishing. Tourism and education are key sectors that feed the businesses in the region. The media supports entrepreneurial ventures in the region due to the high unemployment rates they cited as a challenge.
In Cape Coast, we mapped out 12 organizations, 5 radio, 2 television, 4 agriculture, 1 woman, and then a blog. The peculiar thing about Cape Coast was the fact that they had a lot of colonial and historic attributes to the region. This reflected in the aspect of the region having high entrepreneurs in the aspect of tourism because the castles are located in the region, and the region also boasts of a lot of educational institutions as well. So you find out that more women were into food ventures in the region. A peculiar thing that we got to know from the radio stations or the media people that we engaged was the fact that youth in the region were not keen on working or coming up with entrepreneurial or innovative ideas. So most of the old businesses that were operating are still the businesses that are operating. So women are mainly into buying and selling because of the coastal nature of the area. There's a lot of fishmongering and a little bit of agricultural activities. So the main thing that women do is to kind of sell things that appeal to tourists. So women were also into dressmaking, hairdressing, and other activities that are mainly known to be a woman's area in terms of beauty and fashion. The other concern that media houses raised was the fact that youth unemployment was very high, and it was attributed to the fact that the youth in the region preferred to go to school, have an education, and do white-collar jobs. So the innovative entrepreneurial zeal was not something that was common in the region. They lamented about the fact that the region being a high tourism hotspot in the country, a lot of youth engaged in sex tourism instead of looking out for other opportunities that would generate income. They expressed the fact that they could partner with us to also do a lot of engagement in terms of summits, business meetups to psych the mind of youth and also change their mindset to their approach to work.
Cape Coast boasts of several reputable educational institutions in Ghana. However, the entrepreneurial landscape is not fully explored. The educational institutions serve as a focal point of developing entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. Leveraging the media to educate indigenes about the benefits of entrepreneurship will enable development in the ecosystem.
Few entities are also doing their best to support entrepreneurs in Cape Coast. A typical example is the UCC Business Incubator. But it's sad to say that it's not visibly known to the student community or the indigenes in Cape Coast. So with intensified brand awareness, I think what they are willing to achieve can scale up and also create more dignified entrepreneurs from Cape Coast in view to fade off the negative or perception that people have about individuals or Cape Coast as a whole. I would also love to say that there are a few emerging strong entrepreneurs in Cape Coast that need support, but due to access to the support not being there, it stifles their growth. So we identified few organizations who are helping to create support for startups and entrepreneurs. So we identified 9 social enterprises, 3 business advisory institutions, 1 formalized business organization, 1 development agency, 7 infrastructure providers, then 2 organizations that organizes business schemes in view to celebrate entrepreneurs in Cape Coast. I recommend that organizations like Code Coast, which is a hub, the UEC Business Incubator should leverage on the school hub to increase the entrepreneurial training programs, initiatives, and also create more opportunities to expose local entrepreneurs.
The Cape Coast ecosystem is the tourism hub of Ghana. Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, the lead policy organization, seeks to leverage the use of digital platforms and skills to support the capacity development of the youth to develop the tourism potential of the ecosystem and also retain revenues gotten from the tourists in its local economy.
Okay, so with the Cape Coast ecosystem, this ecosystem was dominated by tourism-related activities and services, and the key public finance organization here was Maslow. Maslow is really doing a lot of work in terms of providing finance for businesses in the Cape Coast ecosystem. So they provide support for individual loans, and they also provide support for group loans in the ecosystem. In terms of policy, the CCMA, that's the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, is the lead policy organization in the Cape Coast ecosystem, and they are also trying hard to ensure that the ecosystem thrives through the provision of various market and store services, and infrastructure is also being provided. They are also working in order to ensure that they come up or they are looking at introducing technology. Interestingly, the CCMA, that's the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, is looking at introducing technology in the provision of tourist services. So they've realized that there's a gap, and this gap is the fact that most tourists who are coming into a country and specifically coming to the Cape Coast, come with tour guides and tourists from outside the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, and so to them it's very key and relevant that they rather work on growing local talent and resources skills to be able to ensure that these revenue streams that will be coming from tourism from outside the Cape Coast Metro would rather stay within the metro. In terms of general support level by all organizations to ensure that entrepreneurs are able to thrive in the Cape Coast Metro, the national average score is 6 out of 10. So that means we generally as a country do not have a high drive entrepreneurial support system in the country. And so this is also reflective of Cape Coast having one of the lowest, the region with the lowest entrepreneurial support services. Yeah, so the Cape Coast ecosystem has the lowest level of support for entrepreneurs as well. So this was also reflective in one of our respondents, that's through our engagements, indicating that a lot of youth in Cape Coast then tend to have interest in white-collar jobs, and even the adults. And so youth who want to move into the entrepreneurial space are rather discouraged, because you are interested in an entrepreneurial initiative and everyone is like, why would you be thinking of this? People are interested in having ready jobs that they will earn monies and salaries at the end of the month, and that's what is of interest to majority of the people in the Cape Coast ecosystem.
The central region has a relatively stable economy due to its high and increasing tourism rates. This recent increase in tourism rates has uplifted the entrepreneurial opportunities in the region. Accessibility to funding and support for startup within this region is much more easier and faster, giving them a greater advantage.
Moving towards the coastal regions in the country, we went to central region, Cape Coast. We were able to engage with 3 international banks, 3 local banks, 3 rural banks, and 1 microfinance. There we found out that the growth rate in the financial sector is a bit on the high. It's moving upwards. This is attributed to the tourism growth in the country. It's empowering or springing up more entrepreneurs in the system, as well as the other businesses such as farming and fishing and the likes. In view of the tourism, for instance, last year we had a year of return which brought up lots of foreigners as well as Ghanaians living outside the country back to their roots. It brought lots of people to the central region due to the tourism aspect of the region, which in turn increased the tourism rates and the awareness of the region, which is bringing more people back to the region and bringing the region more money. This is growing their finances as well.
The Cape Coast Technical University welcomed us with open arms. They were very interested in working with us to provide even more opportunities to their human capital base. The Pro-Vice Chancellor and his team were very supportive and happy to work with us at all times.
Central region, Cape Coast. This coastal city is full of opportunities in terms of agriculture, fisheries, and tourism. We were able to identify and engage with 3 tertiary institutions, 4 second-cycle institutions, 2 vocational institutions, and up to 5 successful entrepreneurs. The main challenge faced by the youth in relation to entrepreneurship in Cape Coast is the fact that most people are not used to purchasing goods and services through digital devices, and as such prefer to go to a physical storefront. Now, physical storefronts are more expensive to start up for the youth, and they have a difficulty being able to reach out to new clients cheaply. In Cape Coast, the institutions we were able to engage with include 3 tertiary institutions, 4 second-cycle institutions, 6 skilled and unskilled worker groups, and then 4 vocational institutions. They were all very eager to help improve the ecosystem in Cape Coast. They realized that there was very little trust amongst themselves in relation to entrepreneurship, and wanted to build that, to improve that by working together. So one of the ways they can work together is to meet more often at hubs, to identify themselves and become friends, so as to trust each other enough to be able to work and improve their ecosystem.